All right, let's dive right in. Every single workplace, whether it's a tiny startup or a massive corporation, runs on a set of invisible blueprints. These are the theories about how to get stuff done. So today, we're going to open up the manager's toolkit and take a look at those blueprints to see what really makes a modern leader tick.
Really, have you ever just stopped and thought about it? Why is your team set up the way it is? Why do you report to that person? None of this is an accident. It's all based on decades of management theories. And once you understand them, it's kind of like finding the secret instruction manual for your job.
At the end of the day, that's all an organization really is, right? It's just a bunch of people trying to achieve something together. But that little phrase in the middle, controlled performance, that's where management comes in. It's the whole art and science of getting people and resources lined up to actually hit those goals.
Okay, so the first set of tools we're pulling out of the kit is all about the big picture. Before you can manage the people, you got to build the house they're going to work in, right? This is all about the fundamental structure of the organization itself.
So let's start with an absolute classic. A guy named Henri Fayol laid these 5 functions out more than 100 years ago, and believe it or not, they are still the bedrock of what we think managers are supposed to do. It's the original blueprint. You plan, you organize your resources, you tell people what to do, you make sure everyone's pulling in the same direction, and then you check to make sure it's all working. It sounds simple, but pretty much everything else builds on this foundation.
Okay, but things get complicated pretty fast. What happens when you need someone to be a deep specialist and also work on a bunch of different projects? Well, that's where the matrix structure comes in. Think about an organization like NASA. An engineer there reports to the head of the engineering department, sure, but they also report to the project manager for the latest Mars rover. It's this two bosses system, and it's all about being flexible.
And this right here shows us the first big lesson for any manager. Every single tool comes with a trade-off. The matrix is awesome for sharing experts across different projects. You see it a lot at places like Procter & Gamble. But its biggest downside? That two bosses thing can get really confusing and even create conflict. You gain a ton of flexibility, but you pay for it with a whole lot of complexity. Now let's jump to a super modern tool, the virtual organization. This is what some people call a boundaryless company. Think of companies like GitLab or Basecamp, where the office is basically the internet. People can be anywhere in the world and teams come together for a project and then dissolve. It's a structure built entirely on tech and trust, not on bricks and mortar.
And the perks are obvious, right? You can hire the best people from anywhere on the planet, you save a ton on office costs, and you can be incredibly agile. But the limitations are just as real. When you don't have that face-to-face time, communication can fall apart and people can feel really isolated. For a manager in a virtual organization, just building a strong company culture is a massive, massive challenge.
Okay, so we've got the structure built. Now how do we get the engine running? This next set of tools in our kit is all about the people inside that structure, how you motivate them, how you understand them, and how you get the best work out of them.
Let's hop in the time machine again and go back to one of the most influential and honestly controversial tools ever, Taylorism. Frederick Winslow Taylor looked at work and saw a machine that could be perfectly optimized. He literally used stopwatches to find the one best way to do any job, whether it was laying bricks or operating a lathe. The only goal was pure maximum efficiency.
And you know what? It worked. Taylorism created huge leaps in productivity. But here's its great limitation. It treats people like cogs in that machine. It totally ignores creativity, job satisfaction, and basic human needs. This cold, mechanical view really sparked the debate that we're still having today. If people aren't machines, then what actually gets them going? So if people aren't machines, what are they? Well, this slide shows 2 totally opposite answers to that question. A Theory X manager basically believes people are lazy and you have to watch them like a hawk. A Theory Y manager believes people actually want to do good work and are naturally creative. The assumption you start with here, X or Y, completely changes the tools you reach for. Are you going to use a stick or a carrot?
I love this grid. It's like a diagnostic tool that helps you visualize that exact balance. It plots how much you care about getting the job done versus how much you care about your people. You've got the pure task manager at one extreme. They only care about results. Then you've got the country club manager who just wants everyone to be happy. According to this model, the sweet spot is the team leader, the person who gets amazing results because they've built a committed, empowered team. It forces you to ask, okay, honestly, where am I on this map?
So we've gone from the organization's structure to managing the team. Now let's zoom in one more time, all the way down to the individual. This final set of tools comes straight from psychology, and it's all about figuring out what makes a single employee tick. Okay, this next concept is a classic, and it's kind of brutal. The Peter Principle. It's the observation that we promote people because they're really good at their current job, but that means they eventually get promoted into a job where they don't have the right skills, and that's where they get stuck, totally incompetent. Sound familiar?
So how do you avoid this trap? The solutions are actually pretty clear. You need tools that can look at someone's potential for the next role, not just their past performance. That means using things like role fit assessments, providing real coaching, and just changing the whole logic behind why you promote someone. It's about hiring for what they can do, not just for what they've already done.
Now, when it comes to understanding your employees, you can use two different lenses. First is the nomothetic approach. Don't worry about the fancy word. It just means looking for general rules, using tools like personality tests to find broad patterns in your team. The other is the ideographic approach, which is all about what makes each person unique. A great manager knows when to look at the group photo and when to look at the individual portrait.
You know, in the modern workplace, this tool right here might be the most important one we've talked about. Daniel Goleman made the case that emotional intelligence, or EI, is way more important for a leader's success than their IQ. It's about understanding your own emotions, managing them, and being able to recognize and influence the emotions of the people around you. Without these 5 skills, even the smartest person in the room is going to struggle to lead.
And finally, how do good ideas actually spread through a company? The SCII model gives us a map. It says knowledge starts as that gut feeling, the stuff you just know. You share it through experience, like an apprenticeship. Then someone writes it down, and it becomes a formal manual. Then people combine that manual with other manuals to create something new. And eventually, people learn that new thing so well that it becomes a gut feeling all over again. It's this constant spinning cycle of learning.
Okay, we have filled our toolkit. We've looked at tools for structure, tools for motivation, and tools for understanding people. So now we get to the most important question of all. Which one do you actually use? This right here is the biggest takeaway from our entire explainer. There is no magic bullet. There's no single theory that works for every single person, in every single company, in every single situation. Taylor's scientific management might be perfect for an assembly line, but it would be an absolute disaster in a creative ad agency.
And that right there is the true art of management. It's not about memorizing a bunch of theories. It's about having a full toolkit, knowing exactly what each tool is good for and what it's bad for, and having the wisdom to pick the right one for the job in front of you. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. All of these theories we've talked about, they were designed for a world of human workers. But as AI and automation become a bigger and bigger part of our teams, what new tools are we going to need? I mean, what does it even mean to manage a team of humans and intelligent machines? That's the blueprint that the next generation of leaders is going to have to write. Thanks for joining me.